Hola Bafetu, it is your big homie Palo. Aribwenga business Spane Bafetu. Today we're going to be talking about e-hailing and deliveries. Alright, so obviously e-hailing would be your Uber, your Bolt, your InDrive, etc. And deliveries, we're just going to touch on Mr. Delivery, we're going to touch on Uber Eats and Bolt Food. But Bolt Food is not very popular. I don't know. I've never really used it. I think I've used it once when I was in Randburg. Not very sure though, but yeah, I've only used it once. And yeah, since it's there, I guess some people are still using it. All right, so there are two ways to get into this business, and the very first one we're going to talk about is going in as a driver. All right, so firstly, with being a driver, right, you will either buy a bike. So you have an option to either buy a bike or rent a bike. Either way will work for you, and a lot of people are advertising bikes which they are currently renting out, and some companies are huge, and a company will have like dozens and dozens of bikes that they rent out to people. But we're going to talk about that side of deliveries in a moment. But for now, we're just going to talk about drivers who can go on any platform and they'll find people renting out their bikes, right? I've seen that the going rate is about 800 Rand for good bikes, and it normally comes with maintenance and services, right? And then if you have your bike for 800 Rand a week, then you know, okay, you need to budget 3.2 a month, right? But for anyone who is renting bikes out, I wouldn't suggest going that high, because most of these companies that charge like 800 Rand are established companies, and for them it's not a matter of trying to negotiate and whatnot. It's just a matter of them getting their 8 clipper, and that is it, right? So go on Facebook Marketplace. Even right now, I'll even show you a screenshot after recording this, where you can just go in and say rent a bike. So how much do these guys make? You can make anything between 5k all the way up to like 8, 9, 10k, depending on how much you're pushing that month, right? Also, it's all about input at the end of the day, guys. Just like any other job where, or rather business, where if you are putting in a little bit of effort, it's not this is not an investment. This is actual ongoing business. So if you put in little effort, you're going to get little money. If you really put in a lot of effort, then you're going to get much higher, a much higher revenue. When you buy a bike, obviously there are two things. Either you're going to get it through credit or get it cash. So for cash, you're going to have to save up. For a second-hand bike, you can pay anything between 8,000 and 15,000, and then for a new bike at Big Boy, bikes start at like 16.7. So recently I just found out that actually that 16.7 does have some additional charges for your bike box and for registration and whatnot, which then goes all the way up to 20k. That is for a brand new bike. All right, so then you know, okay, if you've paid 20k for a bike. Oh, and by the way, for financing, you can't finance it like a normal vehicle. Well, you could try, but I've never tried maybe trying to get 3-4 bikes, because minimum purchase for a vehicle at, for example, what's this for at Westbank, their minimum is 30k and a bike is 20k, so you can't get funding for a bike. I don't know, I've never tried to buy 2 bikes through Westbank at the same time. Those who know can just let us know. However, another option obviously would be a personal loan, right? This is an investment. This is when you should actually take out a loan, not for clothes and for trips. No. For a bike, if you get a bike, you've paid 20k, you're paying it off through the person who's going to rent the bike from you. So while we're talking about that, let's just jump into being an owner of a bike. So when you're an owner of a bike, you can either rent your bikes out, where it's just rental every month or every week. I wouldn't suggest going for the whole monthly thing because it hasn't worked. That's why everyone is renting out bikes and people are supposed to pay weekly, right? Because the monthly thing, imagine now having to pay like at 3.2 and you only made 8k, think about it. But if you cut it down into 4 or 5 weeks, it's more manageable and it doesn't give you that many chest pains. All right, so the first option obviously is to rent your bikes out, and then the second one is a rent to buy option. Right, you can buy a bike or 2, 3, however much, or rather however many bikes you want, and then you rent your bike out with an option for the person to buy the bike. So maybe you'll have a contract, say 24 months, right? A lot of them do 36 months though, but let's just say 24 months, right? Okay, it's 2 years. Someone's going to be renting your bike out. They're paying that 3.2 a month. You can think about it. In 8 months, 7 months actually, you would have covered your capital to buy one bike, right? So from there, 7 months going forward or 8 months going forward, then all the money that's coming is coming to you directly, and you can actually buy another bike and keep growing your business however way you want to do it. And then at the end of the contract, you might stipulate that, okay, so when the contract ends, what I want from you, the renter, is maybe 5k or whatever, 500 rand, 1,000, whichever amount that you want to agree on with the person who's renting your bike. It's all about talking to everyone, guys. Talk to the people, understand that, okay, this is how much you are willing to pay. Fine. If we're going to drop your 800 rand to 700 rand, then when you want to buy the bike out, then the price is going to have to increase and whatnot. You see, so a lot of guys who are riding bikes, they know how to maintain these bikes, or they know people who fix these bikes in case you're buying a second-hand bike, which is also a very good option. And then for e-hailing, it's also a similar situation where if you want to drive an Uber vehicle or a Bolt or an in-drive vehicle. So before we even get into that, a lot of drivers actually have all these apps, because these apps time you and you have to work for a certain amount of hours a day. So maybe let's say, I don't know how those work, but let's say it's 12 hours, right? If someone has worked 12 hours, Uber will say, hey, you've been working too much, so we're going to have to lock your account for the rest of the day, right? That's when someone will say, okay, let me jump onto Bolt, or let me jump onto InDrive or whatever. Personal, some of them actually do have personal rides where they collect certain people in the morning, lift clubs basically. If you have a vehicle, there's a lot of ways to make money off of it, but we're not gonna talk about lift clubs and all of that. No, we're still gonna be talking about Uber. So because e-hailing drivers can make anywhere between 18k and 32k, I've seen that some of them do make up to 32k on a good month. The lowest I've seen was like 16, 17k a month. So it's like, if we'll give it an average of 20k, right? We'll just say 20k, right? So if you're making 20k, you can either go in, if your credit is good, right? You can either go out and buy a vehicle, pay installments, right? Let's say you buy yourself a Palo TSI. Okay, you're going to be paying about 6k including insurance and everything. That's set aside for your monthly expenses, right? And then the rest of it, the rest of the money that you make obviously is going to go to petrol and whatnot. And I don't know what's the net after that. So from that 20k, you put aside 7k, you're left with 13. This will then be your petrol, your insurance, your everything. So you also need to find out how much, when you draw up your budget, you need to incorporate everything and make sure before actually purchasing the vehicle, because you might land in a situation where you find that, Uber is actually not for me, right? And when that happens, what are you going to do with the vehicle? So yeah, keep that in mind. Just ensure that the budget is on point, and go and make your purchase through finance, right? And yeah, also guys, we live in South Africa. Credit scores are crazy, and a lot of people can afford it, but it's a matter of not having a good credit score. So obviously fix that. If you plan to get into this business, fix your credit score. Give yourself 6 months to a year. Don't be in a rush, guys. This, our generation, but we like quick things. No. We shouldn't be in a rush. Even if you give yourself a year to fix your credit score, and then you can ravaza it right after that with a vehicle, but it'll be a business vehicle. It's an asset, an actual asset that's going to bring back money, right? And then the second option would be to rent a vehicle out. Not out, to rent a vehicle. Listen to me. The second option is to rent a vehicle, either from a company like Planet 42. I know that if you look at their contracts and whatnot, they might say, no, you can't use this vehicle for business purposes. I don't think they're watching that. I don't think they'll even know, right? So just give it some thought, and just know that there are risks to breaking rules if you want to take that route, right? But you can either rent from like a company, just like it's a rent to buy company. Planet 42 is a rent to buy company. You purchase a vehicle through them after a certain amount of months. Let's say it's 5 years or whatever. Then you pay 5K to own the vehicle, right? So you can use a rent to buy option where you rent a vehicle, or you can actually rent a vehicle from a company that rents out vehicles without an option to buy the vehicle, right? That's but you know what, honestly, the best way would be to get the vehicle financed, because it's yours. You can do anything with it. There aren't any set rules. And you noticed, here's another thing about these rental companies: when you rent from them, there's so many rules, and these rules, the rules change. Like, it literally stipulates there that if we wanna change these rules, we can change them, but we can give you notice. So you need to take these things into consideration when you wanna rent a vehicle for that type of business. All right. So personally, I tried to get a vehicle into into e-hailing. I was renting out a vehicle, but I realized that it requires a very small car. It requires a small car that is fuel efficient, and you can charge less, right? So don't go for these bigger Corollas and bigger. You want to go for a Passat. You want to go for some of them. Okay, that's for Uber X. Some of them go for Beamers and whatnot. But get a small young Yaris. Is it a Yaris or no? Etios. Get a young small Etios or Agio or Agia. What are these small Toyotas? You get one of those. It's fuel efficient. Your driver won't complain about not making their targets and whatnot. So you get paid at the end of the day. No one starts a business to have fun and no. You start a business to make money. So make sure that you get as much out of it as possible. So, and the best way would be to buy a smallest vehicle you can buy, and then put that in e-hailing. All right. So yeah, guys, these businesses are for everyone. Anyone can do it. It's worth a try. We're a generation where everyone's going on trips, grooving every weekend. You groove, a bill is 3K, you groove next week is 3, that's 6K. Imagine where that 6K could have taken you when it comes to this e-hailing and delivery business, right? And even if it's not a matter, like, check this out, it's not even a matter of, I need to have a lot of money. No, you just need to save up a little bit, fix your credit score so that you are in the game. You don't have to do much, just patience. It's all about patience. All right, so guys, this was a very short one. I didn't prepare for this. I just went in and just spoke about what I know. and I'll just send that screenshot or just a few screenshots as to where you can go if you want to rent out a bike or if you want to rent a bike. All right, so as I always say, knowledge is a powerful weapon. Arm yourselves. Thanks for watching.